Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. This is your girl Gertrude. For those who are watching me for the first time, thanks. And for those who have already subscribed to my channel, thanks for the love and support. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, make sure that you do so down below. Today I did a full look using the new CARLI BYBEL Deluxe Edition palette. And if you want to see how I achieved this look, then keep on watching. Okay, so guys, I did my eyebrows off the camera and I just cleaned up using the LA Girl Pro Concealer in the shade Fawn, and I'm just using the same concealer as my eyelid primer for today, which is actually what I use almost all the time. And I lowered the brightness of the camera so that you guys can be able to see the true colors of the eyeshadow, because some of the matte shades that are from the palette, they are not that pigmented, and it would have been a bit difficult for anyone to see if the brightness was a lot. And that's why I had to lower the brightness of the camera. And this is how the packaging looks like, and it comes in like a box-ish inside it, which actually looks exactly as the outer of the outer part of the eyeshadow palette, and it has 21 shades in total, which is like 15 shades of the eyeshadow and the 6 shades for the highlighters, which I actually love. And I'm just using the lighter shade from her palette, and I'm just using it as my setting powder just to set the whole concealer up. And as you can see, some of it kind of removes like dust every time that I apply it on the eyelid. And actually tried to tap off the excess, but it still had the same issue. But so if you want to use like that shade, you have to like really tap off so that it can have a fewer dust coming out from it. But overall it actually blends really well. And I did use like 2 shades, the light brown shades, as my transitional color, but I kind of lost the footage for it, and I'm sorry about that. And I went in with the purple mauvish plum shade, as you have seen, and I'm just using it on the outer corner of my eye and just a little bit to the middle part of my eyelid. And I'm just using like an angled brush so that it can be easier for me to just pack it on the outer corner of my eye. And it wasn't as that pigmented, and I just used like a little bit of the one of the shades from the Morphe 35P palette just to deepen it a little bit on the outer corner. But just on the middle it's the eyeshadow from the CARLI BYBEL. And I'm just blending it all out so that it can look as seamless as possible. And I'm trying to use like a dabbing motion so that the color doesn't like scrap off, if that makes any sense. That's why I had to use like a little bit of the dabbing motion and just a little bit of the sweeping motion, as you can see. And I'm going in with I'm actually obsessed with this color. It's pinkish, it's a shimmer which has like some hints of gold inside the pinkish, and I'm just packing it on my eyelid, and and as you can see, this is actually the true color of the shimmer itself, and I'm obsessed with this color. I don't know why this color seems to draw my attention every time I open that palette. And I'm just packing it on the eyelid using a small synthetic brush, which I usually use for all the shimmers that I apply with. Yeah, for all the shimmers that I actually have. And I can't remember how many shimmers that she has. I think they were like, if I'm not wrong, there are 9 shimmers in that palette and 6 matte shades. And I'm just actually, I find this a little bit better because someone like me who has hooded eyes, it's better to kind of like pull my eye out, if that makes any sense, so that I can be able to like apply it better, so that it cannot like go over the hooded part. And I just did my primer. I moisturized my face first, obviously, and I did my primer using the elf
mineralized infused primer, if that's how it's pronounced. And I'm just doing a little bit of correcting where I usually have like dark spots on the sides of my cheek, just area that you can see where the orange corrector is. And I started using like an orange corrector just above my eyebrows, because I usually have like a dark forehead, so that helps when I'm to kind of remove a bit of the darkness. And I'm just using the elf concealer. It usually has like 4 shades in it, and I'm just applying it under my eye because I have like dark circles. And almost it's like I'm doing like highlighting before the foundation, if that makes any sense. And I'm using a sponge and making sure that everything is blended out evenly. And I use like damp ish. I don't usually like apply a lot of water, just a damp sponge, semi damp sponge, if that makes any sense. And so that it can be easier for me to blend out the concealer. And some people, if you want to have like a full coverage for the concealer, then there's no need for dampening your sponge, but I prefer dampening the sponge so that it can be easier for me to blend out and it has like a more natural look on me. And I used my black opal foundation stick in the shade hazelnut, if I'm not wrong. And I'm just using the same sponge. I actually use this, I don't have a lot of sponges, so I use this sponge a lot in different direction. It has like different angles to it, so it's easier for me to use it for different purposes. And I actually dampen the sponge just a little bit as well, so that I can have like a more natural look on my face. And this is how it looks like. As you can see, the eyeshadows, it's pretty but not as pigmented as I had hoped for, except for the shimmers. The shimmers, they're actually really pigmented. And I'm using the same Elegant Pro Concealer in the shade Fawn, and I'm just highlighting under my eye. Sorry. And I'm just highlighting under my eye, the just below the nose, my chin, on the forehead, and just the bridge of my nose, just to have a more brightened face. And my face look at least like, yeah, it looks okay. And I'm using the same sponge, and I'm just using a dabbing motion, and I'm just making sure that everything blends out evenly. I was actually skeptical using the highlighting and contouring because I wasn't sure if it's going to go well. It might be a bit too harsh on my skin tone, but actually looking in the mirror, everything, as long as you blend out really well, as long as you blend out really well using the sponge, it actually looks pretty nice. Which actually, yeah, it's growing on me slowly by slowly, and hopefully with time I'll be using that, but it seems like a bit too much work for me. Anywho, I used my Elegant Pro setting powder, and it's a banana setting powder, and I'm just setting where I had highlighted my face. And I'm not using a lot of setting powder. I just wanted like a more natural look to my face. I didn't want my face to look like it's baked or something of that sort. And I used one of the dark shades from the eyeshadow palette, and it just smoked out under my eye just a little bit to have like a more smoky effect. And I'm just using like a goldish shimmer from the same palette, and I'm just applying it on my tear duct. I actually love this. The shimmers, they actually, I don't know, they're out of this world. I'm just obsessed with the shimmers. There are 3 shimmers which I love from this palette, and these are 2 of them which are actually really nice. It had some bit of fallouts also, which wasn't that problematic, but it's still okay. If you're going to use like such shimmers which have a bit of fallout, it's better for you to just do the whole eye look before you apply the foundation, so that it cannot ruin your foundation in the process. And yeah, and I'm just using my Black Opal Deluxe finishing powder in the shade, I think either it's medium or dark. I think it's dark if I'm not wrong. And I'm just applying it all over my face, and I'm just removing any harsh lines that I had put using the Illegal Pro Concealer from the highlighting of my face. And if you noticed, I didn't do any contouring on my face because I wanted a more natural look, and I'm just going to bronze out just a little bit. And I used the one of the highlighters from her palette, and it's like a pinkish, almost like a baby pinkish color. And actually I didn't use a setting spray on the front, and look how pigmented this highlighter is, because I just wanted something that's a bit more natural. I wanted something that looks like it's part of my face. I didn't want it to look too shouting on my face. And I used like my finger just to apply the highlighter on the bridge of my nose, and I just used like a brush. It's like a powder brush that I use just to make sure that it's blended all out evenly. I didn't want any harsh lines or I didn't want it to look uneven on my face. And yeah, you can do this step if you want to, but if you want like a more highlighted nose, then you do you. And I just applied like a pink lipstick and just a dark purple lip liner, and I just applied it, and a bit of eyeliner and a mascara, and I just set the whole face using a setting spray. And you can either decide to use a setting spray if you want to, especially if you have oily skin. It might be a bit tricky, but I prefer for you to use the setting spray, and that's it.
Some of the eyeshadows had a bit of fallouts whenever I picked it with the brush, especially the matte ones, which I didn't like. But overall, it's an amazing palette, and I'm obsessed with the highlighters, because I don't know if you look at this highlighter, it's very smooth and it glides on your skin like butter. Let me do like a bit of swatches so that you guys can see. So let me do like here. These are the highlighters, some of them. Yeah, this is just a bit of these are the highlighters, and these are the bit of the eyeshadows. I'm actually obsessed with three shimmers that she has, especially the pink one, which has some hints of gold in it. I'm obsessed with it. But overall, and they're very smooth actually. I love this palette. Actually, my main focal point of buying this palette was the highlighter, so that I can have some varieties of the highlighters which I wanted. And you guys tell me what you think about this new palette. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, make sure that you do so down below. And if you like this video, please make sure to give it a big thumbs up. And until next time, bye.